What's up, man?
Good morning. It's been a while since I've been here on Freight Gong Friday.
Yeah, yeah. Here we are. We're back. Bro, I gotta say, I've had very little energy for content. I feel like my brain has been like very not firing on all cylinders with regard to content lately.
Gotta take
Um,
a break sometimes. Gotta take a
it's
break.
I think you do. I think you do. And I'm trying to find a renewed vigor. Um, but I just realized last night I was like, you can't really force these things. You got to just kind of ride the wave. And if you're not feeling it, then you're gonna spit out crap. So you gotta just chill for a sec.
Yeah, sometimes I 100% agree. You can't force it. It's got to come to you. Uh, but I feel like there's like ways you could like get back into that creativity groove. Like I like going on a walk, working out, getting some sleep. Just kind of chilling for a little bit. I feel like that usually sparks. Or taking a shower, going into the sauna, stuff like that. Kind of like to get some of that energy back, that mental energy. So I know what you mean though. I know what you mean. So what have you been doing content wise? You're still posting like a lot on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a lot of low effort slop. I just like I find
Yeah.
stuff that I think is like funny. Like so, like you know how when you like find something and you post it, you're like, this is going to be really good, and you do it within a very short time frame. It
Mm-hmm.
tends to be like it like for you either know it's going to work or it's like it's just like something doesn't feel right about it. You
Sure.
know, I've mostly been feeling like, oh man, like this. I don't know, like is this funny? Like is it not funny? Like could it be funny? Sure. I haven't felt like I've had like a banger in a while, and it's
You got to keep chipping away. I feel like you just got to keep going at it, and then
yeah, it's definitely a slog. I mean, it's we always be posting. Um,
always be posting, always be carrying tea. That's my motto for life. But
I've just been doing way more. I've just been doing way more other stuff. I just before, especially before I started working with Truck Parking Club, I was like, I mean, my entire day, I was just literally just sitting there, just like fucking around. Like literally, that was like my whole day
yeah,
for
yeah.
2 years. I was doing stuff, but like it was a lot of just like, oh, I feel like I should do this for 5 hours, and I would just do random shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but
It's a lot
I'm
structured.
trying.
Your day's a lot more structured now, and you have
Well, I
other
mean, yeah, but it has to be.
things
And I
to
think
do.
that's a good thing though, because I've like historically had a very difficult time with structure and imposing it on myself. And so I've kind of forced myself to have a little more structure because that's the only way you get shit done.
Yeah,
If the most you can ever work on one single thing is 5 hours in a row and then you never do it again, then you're not really going to do a whole heck of a lot. So,
yeah.
um,
Dude, in terms of structure, I'm subscribed, or I was subscribed to this like this weekly. It's like a 1 week newsletter course where like you get like tips on how to focus better. And there's two tips that I've started implementing this week that have helped me focus. One of them is like if you look at something, whatever it is, if you just stare at something without blinking for like at least a minute, you're like already working your brain to start focusing on something. So like before I start like something, it's good just look at a dot for like a minute, whatever. You could look at the wall. Just look at one thing for like a minute without blinking. That's one thing I've been doing. And then the other thing I've been doing is I listen to 40 hertz music on my like headphones. And it's like music that's supposed to be like really good
oh
for
yeah, I've heard about that.
Huberman does it. And so it's just been a few things. Let's just see here. So wait, we got Alex Bates. I gotta send Alex a hoodie. Yo, Alex, you want to hop on the show? Our guest, I don't know where our guest is. Let me see. I emailed him. He hasn't replied back. But let's see here. Jake, any TPC locations installing EV chargers? I know not a popular question, but it would make the location more attractive for us. Interesting. I'll let you retake that question.
Not
And then
currently.
shit.
Oh, Jamie, what's up, brother?
Is Jamie bashing us? I don't know.
Jamie bashes with love.
With love. Okay. Well,
Jake Guerra, his question. What was it again? We put it back up.
Yeah, about the EV chargers and stuff.
Any TPC locations installing EV chargers? No, not currently. Not currently. Jamie, you need a gong, brother. What? Do you got a gong in your truck? You're
Bring
always.
the gong. I think we should
be.
Go. What's up with freightgong.com?
Dude, I was last night I was screwing around and my first meme site I ever made, pleaseadvise.ai, the excuse generator, has been broken for like a year. Like they changed the API, and so the excuses don't generate anymore. And so I took I rebuilt it last night, and using the new 4.0 mini AI model, and I'm gonna put a new spin. I kind of feel like I need to breathe new life into my little meme sites. So I'm gonna re-release. I'm gonna probably re-release them in the next couple weeks. That seems like something fun to do. Because I'm really interested. I just really like those like little viral things. You can make something kind of go little viral. Like that's fun. Especially if it's just pure fun. Like there's no commercial aspect to it. That feeds. It's good for the soul.
For sure. Oh, we got Jonathan. Jonathan's here. What's up, Jonathan?
Hi, good to see you. Sorry, I was trying to join over LinkedIn, but this was just for watchers, right? For the audience.
Yeah. So. Here, we got Bobby Flay in here too. So
holy cow!
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Bob, Jonathan meet each other. Bob runs a trucking company in North Carolina. He also runs an Insta page called USA Transportation with some great content. Jonathan, where are you right now? Are you in Cyprus?
Yes, I'm in Cyprus.
And Cyprus, baby.
Yes,
I think you're the first guest from Cyprus ever, probably.
it's a small but significant island.
Where are you from?
I'm from Germany, and I relocated 1.5 years ago to Cyprus.
Why Cyprus? Cool. I'm just curious. Like, I don't hear a lot of people moving to Cyprus. I've been to Cyprus a couple times on vacation. It's a popular vacation destination for Europeans. But tell us a little bit why Cyprus, and which part of the island are you on?
I'm on the Greek side, and Cyprus is just great. And since I'm leading a remote company, I thought like I'm flexible to move around. So why not move somewhere where the sun is shining, and taxes are a bit cheaper as well. So those are the two main reasons. And I love cycling, and here is just a cycling paradise, especially in the winter. It's similar to Mallorca. If you heard about Mallorca, very nice weather. Just in the summer, it's extremely hot here, so not a good place for summertime.
So is there a border on Cyprus between the Greek and the Turkish sides?
Yeah, they call it the Green Line, and there's an UN zone in between, and they don't get along very well with each other.
Yeah.
Which city are you in, Jonathan?
In Larnaca.
Okay.
Where the Greek airport is.
Yeah. I've landed there a couple times. That's cool.
How did you like it?
Dude, so Jonathan, I was doing a little research on your company like 10 minutes before the show. I had never heard of this onboard courier thing. How did you come across this, and what do you, I guess, just tell people what you guys do?
Yes. I used to be an onboard courier myself. So I was working as a student. I was working for an automotive supplier on the site. And one day we had this special request. I was in the purchasing department, and we were responsible to deliver urgent parts from Cologne to London, actually. And I was thinking like, hey, how can we manage this? And then my colleague said, yeah, it's very easy. We book a flight, we send someone on the flight from Cologne on the next available flight to London, and we deliver the part within like 4 or 5 hours. And
Yeah.
back then, this was before Brexit. There was no customs necessary. And I was thinking like to myself, wow, this must be a great job. Instead of sitting in front of the computer, I was imagining myself traveling the world, making money, and enjoying life. And
Yeah.
a couple of years later, I started my business, and I was a professional onboard courier. So I was doing up to 45 flights a month, flying around the world with urgent packages and keeping supply chains intact. And yeah,
How are you?
So the-
How are you getting? How are you getting packages? Like, how are people finding you?
back in the days, I signed up with several companies called OBC companies, like the one that I lead now. And you have to register with them, and they have their dedicated clients, and then they give you shipments. They would just call you up and say, hey, can you fly to LA tonight from Frankfurt?
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And then they arrange the first mile and the last mile in customs. And then I was flying around
So
the globe.
after you deliver the part, what do? Do you just sit and wait for another shipment from wherever you're
Yes.
at?
Yes. Or you would fly on the next flight, you would fly home. Depends on your strategy. So in the end,
Mhm.
I was pretty well known, and I was just waiting until I got another shipment. And
Yeah.
it was a fun time.
It's a bit like Paul. It's a bit like having a truck here. It's like when you deliver a load somewhere, like you either gotta go somewhere where there are more loads, or you sit and wait and try to find one really close to you.
Yes.
I mean, it's the same thing.
So you let's say like you do Frankfurt to LA. Okay, first question is like, are you flying economy or do you have a better seating arrangement? And like, what's the maximum weight of what you're carrying? Is it like up to 30 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever? Like, tell us about that. And then you said it's one way ticket, so you're in LA. Tell us about like how long you're in LA for. Yeah, I'm curious.
Usually those assignments are round trip tickets. So you start off, they bring you somewhere, and they're responsible for returning you as well. But as I progressed as an onboard courier, I thought to myself, hey, I can book the tickets cheaper, or maybe I can save some money, and I can offer the whole ticket cheaper to the company that I was working for as a freelancer. And yeah, then I was going back and forth. And regarding the other question, usually when you carry things into the cabin, like the hand carry thing, it would be up to 20 pounds, maybe 25 pounds maximum. But there's another side to this. You can also check in the baggage, like your suitcase when you fly abroad. And depending on the airline, you can go from, some airlines have a limitation of 10 pieces per person, but you could also do up to 99 on Lufthansa, for example. So sometimes
Like 99 suitcases.
packages. Yes, suitcases.
Oh wow!
So that's wild. I didn't know that. Okay, continue.
That's truckloads of stuff flying in the baggage hold as a passenger. So, for example, the maximum that my company did here was 2,000 kilogram, which is roughly maybe 4,500 pounds. And we transported that from Beijing to Budapest within 19 hours. And that was like the terminal was just full of bags of ours. And
how many people
it took a while to organize this. This was one person. But of course, we had several people.
Did you have
to
any
assist.
people help? Was anybody helping, like check in all that luggage?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's like trucks. There was 2 trucks full of stuff, 7 pallets, and it's just logistic-wise not that easy. If you arrive at the terminal and you have to walk 200 meters with like 10 carts, and you push
were the
one,
airline
and you
people
go to
just
the
like,
next
yo,
one.
what were the airline people just like, what is this guy doing? Like, what is going on here?
Sometimes they go like that, but at certain airports they're just used to it, because you have like special baggages. For example, you have duffel bags. They're the blue with the orange handle. This is like the signature OBC thing, so it's very easy to recognize. And especially between the US and Mexico, there is so much freight going by onboard couriers, and also transatlantic. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I'm curious, Jonathan, like Is there good money to be made in this industry? Like especially right now, maybe beforehand it was more lucrative. But I'm curious, like, were you making good money? Like right now, if I wanted to do this, maybe like as a side hustle, like I live in Warsaw, could I get some arrangements? Because I'm down to do this. I just want to know like more about
for
how
sure.
that looks like. Yeah.
For sure, you can do this. There are people who make a living with this. And also, when I was an onboard courier, I was making 5 digits a month in euros, so it was pretty nice. But of course, this was like, because I was all into this, I was working for over 50 agencies, and if you focus on this, it's nice.
Jonathan, can you give me some work out of Warsaw?
Yeah, for sure. We have clients there, and you could. There are lanes from Warsaw to Chicago, for example, or Chicago back to Warsaw.
That's
So,
what I
for sure.
need. That's what I need. I'm Chicago.
What are the
originally.
commodity? I mean, what are people like? What is the most popular commodity to ship via onboard couriers? Maybe that's a
That's a good question. I hear this one all the time. No, it's not white powder from Colombia.
Sometimes.
So, yeah. The most important industries that use this are automotive, because if there's a production line stop, then people go crazy. So automotive is very important. Sometimes air freight gets offloaded, or maybe a container is not arriving on time because of the Suez Canal and so on. Then there are shortages, and then they just ship it by onboard courier. For example, they split freight. They send 90% with air freight, which takes 2 to 3 days, and 10% they just need to secure the production for the next couple of days. So they put 10% of the shipment as an onboard courier shipment. So this is like automotive, aerospace. If an aircraft on ground case is happening, it's very expensive and super urgent. So we have a lot of those as well. And those are the typical industries. Then we also have fashion clients, because sometimes there are some fashion shows and you can't squeeze a fancy dress into a backpack. Otherwise you would break the material, for example. And then you have conductors, high valuable stuff. And
the stuff is customs like a risk? Like, do sometimes things get stuck in customs, or you like are held up trying to make deliveries on time because of customs?
Yeah, the amateurs have those problems, but we control the whole trip from door to door, including import and export customs. So we have over 90 agents registered that can do in a very short time frame. They can arrange the import and export clearance, and we ensure that everything goes smooth. But because customs is an issue, if you don't prepare this, you can't just arrive in the US with like $30,000 value automotive parts and say, hey, can you just let me go, guys? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. That's interesting. So what is your business now? Are you one of these agents, or what?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have a team of 12 employees now. And at some point I just got sick and tired of flying, because I was just I didn't even get jet lag anymore, because before I got jet lagged, I left the place already. So my body, my internal clock was totally broken. And I just knew, like, I want to scale this, and I can only sit on one aircraft at a time, right?
Yeah.
That's cool, Jonathan. You got to send me some work from Warsaw to Chicago, or anywhere else from Warsaw. You send me.
I will send you a message afterwards.
Yeah, cool.
Also, it's a good place.
Yeah, that's good. I love to hear that. I see Bob's here. I'm wondering if Bob has any questions, and I also, if Bob does, we'll let him talk. And if not, I'm wondering, Jonathan, did you just rack up a ton of like miles, like with Star Alliance? Were you like a frequent traveler and stuff like that?
Yeah, I had like top tier status with several airlines, and that's why I was always upgrading myself with miles.
You're in United. Are you in boarding group 1?
Yes, most of the time.
Nice, dude.
But they changed it a lot. You know, in the past it was like in the US. Do you know this meme? You have boarding group 1, but then you have like 18 groups before you, people with kids, military, veterans, and then you have people with in the wheelchair, and then you have others, and and you expect to be the first one on the flight, but actually you're almost the last one.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Bob, we can't hear you. What are you saying? I don't know why.
Can you guys hear me now or
Oh,
no?
there we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. My phone kind of cut out for some time because I just got to the office, so I kind of didn't hear exactly what you guys were talking about. So hopped back in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So,
I
Jonathan,
I didn't really hear what Jonathan does
Alright.
exactly. So
all right, listen to this. So if like a shipper needs like, let's just say for example, automotive parts and like they need it ASAP, they'll just send someone to fly with the parts to like the facility. And Jonathan started flying. He was doing at 1.45 flights like in a month, and he was like flying from Frankfurt to LA. You know, they just call him up like, yo, we need this tomorrow in LA. Can you fly from Frankfurt to LA? And he just would fly. And he did it. And then he built his own company off of it. And now they have, I think, 30 agents or 30 employees like that, just flying nonstop. And Jonathan's gonna hook me up with some flights from Warsaw. So
so do you just meet somebody in the airport, or are you responsible for getting from the airport to like the end destination, to like the factory, for example?
Yeah, if you're an onboard courier, usually your assignment is only airport to airport, and then you meet a driver. And sometimes if the facility is close to the airport, it makes sense if you just jump in an Uber and you go like 10 miles or something. It's super easy.
What are you transporting? How big are these parts? Are you putting them in your suitcase or are they like in the airplane?
Sup, boys?
What up, bro?
Hi. Yeah, the parts can be anywhere from a couple of grams up to like tons of goods.
Oh, wow.
But of course, they have to fit into regular
4,500 pounds of stuff in up to 99 suitcases on Lufthansa.
Yeah.
Actually, what's the most amount of suitcases, Jonathan, that you shipped? Like that you took with you? How many?
The record in our company was 65 pieces.
And like that's insane.
And you put them all into a suitcase?
No, you have 65 luggages to take in. So you have the airline gives you a bag tag, right? So you have like ropes of bag tags.
Damn.
And
that's wild.
And sometimes we have couriers, and I tell them to stick them onto each other really nicely, so I see all the bag tag numbers and take one picture, because some couriers of mine, they send one picture per bag tag, and I don't want to forward 65 pictures to my client.
Yeah.
It was kind of annoying.
You should send us those pictures and post it. We'll be like, this load is paying $450 per mile.
Right. It's more like 20 cents
what does this cost? What does this cost?
One excess baggage costs around €200 if you put this on an airline. And if you want to know like how much a shipment is from Germany to LA, for example, if a freight forwarding client of ours is ordering this, it costs between flight tickets vary all the time. So between, let's say, $4,000 to $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in between air freight, so it's more expensive than air freight usually, but way cheaper than air charters. So some of my clients, they consider air charters as well. So they're thinking about chartering a plane to fly from Frankfurt with one piece of luggage empty, 150 seats empty, just with one small box, to Washington, for example.
Mm.
And
interesting.
So it's way cheaper.
That's cool.
And
trucking doesn't work out, I'll hit you up. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, you can do this on the side. It's cool for people who don't have like a fixed commitment.
Well, if I'm going to Poland next time, I'll just hit him up. Be like, yo, you got any packages going there? I can do it for you.
Whenever you see Paul everywhere in the world, then you know what's going on. If Paul is in Tokyo and then next day in South Africa.
So like in the US, for example, whenever you're moving freight like on a truck, there's like a corresponding, bill of lading document that kind of outlines the freight and the origin and destination, all that stuff. Is there similar documents for this sort of thing?
We don't have an airway bill because it's not air freight, so we don't have a bill of lading. We just have the ticket of the courier who's flying, and then we have normal customs documents. So we have the customs invoice, the packing list, but that's it.
Interesting.
So,
and actually, we're looking for more carriers in the US. So if you have people who have trucks available for like dedicated deliveries on a short notice, then I'm super interested. Because we have a lot of business in the US, and we always need reliable drivers to go from, let's say, LA airport to, I don't know, San Diego or something.
Yeah, I don't
in
know if you
different
want to
areas
talk to
all about
Bob
the
about
US.
reliable drivers.
Bro, all my drivers are strong solo Sergeys. They are the most reliable people out there.
Excellent.
They will literally make 1,000 miles within 2 days easy.
Okay. I thought like those were the truckers that Paul is always posting about, like the Serbian guy who's in sweatpants and
Yeah.
That's Alex. Alex is a Serbian guy in sweatpants, but he's a dispatcher now.
Yo, I'm actually like literally currently in sweatpants.
Alex is in Serbia right now.
you're the two team driving team, right?
Yeah, that's
Strong solo
Yeah, I'm
Sergey.
like the literal Serbian guy in sweatpants, dude, in Serbia. So.
Jonathan, I'm curious. How did you like scale the business? Like, how does obviously don't like give us all like the secrets, but like I'm curious, like how does that look like? Like, is there a lot of competition in this, or is
Yes.
this more like okay, like so curious, like who do you reach out to? Like you said like you have like companies that you work with, like that, but it's like I walk us through that process if you may.
Yes. So we made the strategic decision, instead of working for shippers and consignees, we only work with freight forwarders. First of all, this has a multiplying effect, because the freight forwarders that we work for most of the top 10 freight forwarders globally and have over 100 freight forwarding clients now. They have hundreds and thousands of direct clients that we could never reach out to ourselves, right? And then we also have the problem. Double brokering is actually the only thing I do is double broker, because my freight forwarding client is selling stuff to the shipper, right? And in the end, I'm the service provider of the freight forwarder, because they can't have the network globally to do door-to-door shipments, including import and export. So it's legal double brokering, actually. And
nice.
Wait, so
we don't want to get in touch with the customer. Yeah.
You do
Did
more
you
like
say legal
OBC.
double brokering?
Because Jonathan, if I'm sorry for interrupting, like I'll let you get back to it, but you provide, once they call you, do you do only airport to airport, or do you also, like you said, like you also get the driver from the airport to deliver it, right? So that's you're
Door to
handling
door.
that.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. And because we don't want to be in the position that someday I have a direct client, like the shipper, for example, and the shipper is also working with my freight forwarding client, and then there would be conflict of interest. So to avoid this, we only work with freight forwarding clients, and we never work with shippers.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Are there any OBC businesses that work like directly with shippers, or do most of them
Most
follow
of
the
them
same?
do.
Oh, okay.
Most of them work with everybody, and in the long term, they will get into issues with their clients. For
Do
sure.
you ever have to charter your own planes?
No, we don't do that. We do only OBC shipments.
Okay.
And this is also, a lot of clients ask me, why don't I get into air freight? Why don't I get into air charters? Because it's a different ball game. Because we usually, companies who offer several logistics services, they only operate to and from one country. So they have less variables. But if we have shipments from 90 countries to 90 countries, there are so many possibilities of different processes, different custom rules. I would say it's way too complex to have too many services, and then I can't be on the highest quality level if I dilute my services with too many options.
Do you ever, for example, say like you have a guy in Frankfurt, and you have a freight forwarder who's like, hey, I need somebody from Paris or something like that. Do you ever send people to airports to pick something up?
Sometimes, yes. But we have over 1,500 people registered in our network, so I don't have to lose time. And since it's more expensive to position someone to another airport, and it's just a waste of time, right? If I have a shipment in Singapore and I have to send someone from Frankfurt to Singapore first, I'm losing half a day, and that's not worth it. So it makes sense. That's why we have a global network of over 1,500 people.
How do you find people to join this network, the couriers?
I have a lot of contacts from the past, because I did this myself for 6 years, and I have built I built a Facebook group with over 1,000 members, and I have a good name in the industry. So it was very
And so
easy to build
are
this
these are
database.
all like just contractors that you use?
Yes.
They're not obviously they're obviously not your employees.
Right. Exactly.
And so
They
do
do
these
that
people
just like I did
are
in the
these
past.
people like
these people?
all
How do you trust
are they
these
all
people?
freelancers? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, okay, they are. Yeah. And you know them because they're in your group?
Correct. And I've met most of them in my own courier days. So I would say more than half I met personally myself. And it's a trust game, and it's a zero error industry. So if somebody fucks up somewhere, it's very
They get-
easy to know
They get
who made mistakes.
blacklisted. They have
Yes.
their own freight guard systems. They're like,
Yeah,
okay, we
right.
use this guy to
Do
fight
not
with
use
this product.
Yes.
OBC 411.
Is
I was
Yo, I
listening
gotta
to
run.
one
I
of your
got some work to
podcasts.
do. It's Friday. Nice talking to you guys. I'll be back later. Peace.
Yeah, Bobby.
see ya, Bob.
He's like,
If somebody like, do you ever have people like, screw something up by like falling asleep in the terminal or something like that? Like what's like the most common reason things go wrong?
Never happened to us, but I've heard a lot of horror stories. So there are stories out there that people got drunk, they missed their flight because they were like like chugging drinks in the airport lounge because they have high airline status, right? So they can go to the lounge, and they forgot about time. And at some point, if you have so many flights going on, maybe the routine caught up to them, so they lost track of time, and yeah, then they missed flights. So luckily, this never happened in my company, but there are many stories like those.
I mean, I think we've all got drunk at an airport before, so it's kind of common.
For sure.
Man, this is so fascinating. I wanna try this out, Jonathan. I wanna do a flight. You said
Yeah.
Chicago, Warsaw, Chicago's common. I'm curious
Yes.
if you can tell us maybe why. Like, why is Warsaw, Chicago common?
I mean, Chicago is one of the hubs for freight, right? So
Mhm.
there are so many automotive companies in the Michigan, Illinois area. There's a lot of companies located there, and also in Eastern Europe. And you have direct flights with a lot. So it's
Yeah.
very easy way to transport freight in a very efficient and fast way. So when the order comes in at, let's say, afternoon in Chicago time, it would be on the 9:50 p.m. flight to Warsaw, and the shipper would wake up and have it before they start work. They would have parts that they ordered last night. So it's extremely efficient.
Yeah.
And
But
Chicago has
so-
very good connections. Also,
But so like
domestically
how this works is like I'm the automotive person. I have this urgent need. I hit up my freight forwarder, and then the freight forwarder hits up you
yes,
and arranges the shipment. You get on the plane or you get the parts. Like, do they bring the parts to the airport? Do you have to go somewhere to a warehouse to get the parts? Like, how does that work?
usually we send a driver, and they collect the goods, and then you have to coordinate everything. You have to coordinate the first mile, then you have to have the person book the ticket for them, the courier who's receiving the goods, then he's checking those in. We have to update all the time to keep the clients updated, and then the person is arranging the export clearance, flying to abroad to wherever, doing the import clearance. Then the driver is waiting there already, and then we deliver the goods.
What's like the typical lead time on something like this? Like, is this like all urgent, like last minute stuff, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of the time it is. Sometimes it's a bit upfront, but usually I would say 90% of the stuff is decided within 30 minutes. So
Oh,
when
wow.
you send a request to us, within 15 minutes, we will give you a door-to-door option with a full price, and the price doesn't change.
And
So
are you just going on, like, how are you guys deciding the flights? Are you just like going on Expedia, or like what? How does this
obviously
work?
we have a travel agency in our company, so we have special access. We have the possibility to block seats, because I don't want to be in the position I offer something and then it's running up the chain, because the freight forwarder, he's calling someone from the shipper,
Yeah.
and then it takes like 30 minutes or 40 minutes until the decision is made. Yeah, okay, we approve this cost and we expect the stuff to be there tomorrow. And then they get back to me and I tell them, sorry, the flight is sold out. They wouldn't be cool, right? So
How often do you guys use Uber like services for like the first mile of a trip?
we never use Uber. The only thing where we would use Uber is if we send the courier in an Uber to pick up themselves. But
Yeah, no, it's just because it's
too
common in
risky for us.
logistics. I mean, we've sent Ubers to pick up like, an alternator or something
Yeah.
many times.
The problem is we have to verify a lot of things at pickup. We have to make sure we have the right part number, the right shipping order. We cannot just send someone and we don't know the guy who is driving the Uber and they just load whatever the shipper is giving them. We don't have pictures. We cannot verify the customs documents. We have to make sure we got the right packages. Otherwise, it would be a nightmare. If we collect the wrong packages and we fly around the globe and then the consignee tells us, okay, sorry, nice job, but that's the wrong part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, truck drivers do that all the time. They just take whatever the shipper gives them.
Yeah, they know
and never look
whatever.
at the
Let's
papers.
go.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
get out of there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, this is awesome. Jonathan, can you tell us a little bit about, like, you said that you once did 45 trips in 1 month. Can you tell us a little
Yes.
bit about the destinations? Like, where did you travel to during that like month and like your crazy destinations and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I was doing most of the automotive lanes. So it was a lot of Europe to the US and Europe to Mexico. So in my prime time, I was in the US, I would say 3 to 4 times a week. And sometimes I was really confusing the airline lounge staff because they saw me and they said, hey, you were here yesterday, right? And I was like, yeah, but I'm back.
So you said 3 to 4 times a week. So you'd literally
Yes.
just be going flying Europe, US every day.
Yes.
Yeah, bro
I
is
had like
living on
7
the
to 8
airplane.
transatlantic flights a week. So on average,
What?
in some months, I had 1.3 flights a day. So that was really crazy.
That's wild. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even expect it. I thought maybe you're like in LA for like a couple days and then you fly back. But no, it's like you fly in, then you're back.
It depends how you want to play it, but yeah, it could be very relaxed. We have a lot of couriers that are hitting us up. Hey, can you leave me a bit longer in this area? And depends. I never got to nice destinations like Hawaii or the Maldives, but I know that we have sent people there, especially with aircraft parts, because an aircraft could break down at every location, but
Mhm.
automotive production is usually in certain hotspots like Mexico, the US. You have North Africa, like Morocco, that area is pretty common. You have South Africa, and then we have a lot of stuff from China. So from China to Europe and the US. Let's see how this will change in the future. I'm very curious how this will play out, but yeah.
So Jonathan, continue with some crazy like trips, like your stories. Okay, I'm so fascinated by it. You said you were doing like 3 to 4 trips a week, Europe to North America. Like, tell us more like about all that stuff.
Yeah, it could really be anything. And it was, if you imagine the daily life of an onboard courier, I was giving tutor lessons in the past, so during my studies as well. And it was so funny because I remember I had so many conversations where I would agree on a lesson to lecture someone in like at 5 p.m. And then I would just call them 1 hour later and said, sorry, I have to cancel. I have to go to South Africa. And they were like, what? You didn't know that like a while ago, like 1 hour ago, you didn't know that you will go to Johannesburg. Like, well, what's going on? And then I had to change my lifestyle. I was always telling my friends, I might have time tomorrow, but my job, and I might be in Tokyo tomorrow. I don't know. I can't tell you. So tomorrow I can tell you if I will be there or not. And for some people, it was just something else.
What's like
an assassin or like a CIA operator who like in a movie gets a text message like or the flight to like Switzerland because you would kill someone or something. I don't know.
Yes.
What's like the craziest trip you've ever done?
The craziest trip. There were so many. So there was really so much stuff happens. Sometimes it's just you get on the plane, then the plane pushed back, but because it was delayed, you had to go back, and then you would need to jump into a taxi, go to a different airport because there were no flights anymore. Then you would run through airports, clear customs, and jump in a taxi, go 3 or 4 hours somewhere else. So I remember one of those crazy days. I was in the US and I was supposed to pick up something, and I was going from Charlotte. I was waiting for a flight to Phoenix, And then I was waiting, and the flight got delayed more and more and more. And I knew like I have a confirmed shipment from there, so I had to be there on time. And then the flight got canceled, and I checked. I called my client back in the days, and I called him and say, "Hey, I have only one option. I have to drive down to Atlanta. I'm in a rental car now," and I was super sleepy, and I was driving there, and I had to make breaks and do like jumping jacks so I don't fall asleep, because I knew there was an early flight at like 5 a.m. and I was rushing down there, and I was like, wow. And I made it on time, and we delivered a special aircraft part to London Heathrow, and yeah, there was.
So
we're gonna
You just have to
start
push your
putting
limits.
ELDs, bro. ELDs for OBCs.
Are you
That's
paying,
next.
like, are you charging, like in that situation where you have a flight cancellation, you have to rent a car to drive from Charlotte to Atlanta? Like, are you billing more for that, or is that just
Yes.
like you just eat? Okay, you are okay.
Because that's why our freight forwarding clients, they know that stuff can happen. It's not 100% sure. It's way less risky than other options, but shit can happen, right? So if there's bad weather, flights get canceled. That's why OBC is so important in the supply chain, because you can just change everything. You can just change the whole plan. Maybe you see the connection is getting tight. You have to change to fly to another airport, and you have the package in the hand. You just book another flight, and you just cancel the other one, and then you just fly somewhere else. So it's super cool, and there are a lot of changes all the time.
His lifestyle does remind me of like James Bond. Like you just said, like pick it up, drop off, go here,
Yes.
go there. Like it's like a spy.
I like the lifestyle. I like it.
Lifestyle sounds awesome, dude.
So
it's just very difficult to do other stuff after you're used to this lifestyle. Because what I love the most is whenever you arrive somewhere, your job is done. So you're not traveling like a consultant, because a consultant, when he arrives, he has to be ready for the huge presentation tomorrow. He has to close a deal or something. But when I arrived, I delivered the package, and then I had holidays. So it's a different perspective.
That's so interesting and so cool. And like going back to that story from Charlotte to Phoenix, you flew at 5 a.m. from Atlanta to Phoenix. You picked up the package. You probably got there like at 7 or 8 a.m. local time. You picked up the package, and then you were like a few hours later on the flight to London in that case?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I stayed in London, and then sometimes on the way, I would tell my other clients back then, the other agencies that I worked for, hey guys, I will be in London Heathrow tomorrow at this time. Just hit me up if you have some job out of London. And then many times I would just get another one, and then I would be in one hotel where I arrived from the trip yesterday, and I would deliver the new packages, and then I would fly to Tokyo or China or Thailand.
So do you have like paperwork for doing all of these deliveries stuff? Like I would imagine you'd be stopped at some point by, like you keep saying, delivering packages. Like I would imagine somebody would like flag you at some point for how much traveling you're doing. Like ask you some questions. No?
It's actually the opposite. So sometimes immigration officers in the US, they just looked at my record and they see all the entry, and they were like, okay, over 100 times, okay, you're good. And I got global entry, so it was very easy for me to travel. But during the pandemic, it was totally different. So probably during the pandemic was the most stressful time of my life. That's when I started to become a broker after the end of the pandemic. But you have to imagine you're flying somewhere, and I was one of the few people who could fly to the US during the pandemic because I had a national interest exemption. So from the consulate, you have to get approval. Jonathan is allowed to fly, although there's a travel ban for every European. So every day I had a discussion with the check-in agent. No, nobody can fly from Germany. Yes, I can. And they would call CBP, and they would give them my passport details, and they said, yes, he's allowed to fly. So I would be alone on airplanes in some occasions because there was nobody allowed to travel.
Yeah.
And then rules kept changing. And it was super weird because in the US at the beginning, if you remember, a PCR test would take up to 72 hours. But in Europe, they only allowed 24 or 48-year-old results. So it was impossible to get back in some circumstances. Or you would arrive, and then during your flight, the rules changed, and you couldn't go through immigration.
I remember the pandemic quite well. Luckily, I have a Polish and U.S. passport, so I was able to travel. I remember I once flew from Copenhagen to Chicago. there was 26 passengers on 350 seats on the airplane, and so there was literally, everyone had like 9 seats to themselves. It was like flying private, which is sweet. But yeah, like that's cool that you got that exemption. My brother-in-law, who's Italian, also had the exemption, but he, like, they would always tell him he can't fly, and then the people at the gate would have to call, like, you know, CBP, I guess, and figure that out. So
is there like is there like when you have couriers, like, are there people, like, are there better passports like for couriers to have? Like if a courier is, you know, has an EU passport or a German passport or like American one, like, is there one that's the best?
Yeah, European passports are very, very good. And then you have, for example, French passports. They have some benefits in Africa. Then you have US passports. They're also very good. But for example, we had a shipment recently to Vietnam, and it was difficult because Americans need a visa for Vietnam and Europeans don't. So yeah.
So I was a big fan.
Those are pretty good.
I was a big fan of Anthony Bourdain's The Layover. I mean, can you take me through your like best layover experience? I mean,
yeah, I think that the best layover would be in Doha, the first class lounge. Sometimes if you upgrade yourself with miles, you can. Qatar Airways is just something else. So you have a sushi bar and massages and sleeping rooms, and they're really like different layers of traveling.
What's your favorite airline and what's the worst airline?
Ooh, I would say one of the worst airlines is probably Spirit, or maybe Ryanair. Then my favorite airlines, I would say, I really like Qatar and Emirates. Thai Airways is pretty nice. I feel like Lufthansa dropped a lot during the pandemic. They reduced the product so much. It used to be like one of these 5-star airlines, but they got downgraded, and you have to pay for everything, and the food was awful. And now they have something called onboard delight, so they charge you for everything, but they're still very pricey in Europe. So there's no incentive to use Lufthansa anymore. You could just go by Wizz Air or Ryanair. You would have the same product actually for like 20% of the price.
Yeah, Wizz Air is undefeated in Europe, man. Get flights for $30.
Yeah, I love exactly what you get, and it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Like for Ryanair, like for emergency exit, you pay $20, and like in the US to get emergency exit United, it's like $200. It's obscene. Like it depends on which flight you're out, but like it's really just $20. Well, I guess people in Europe overall make less, so there's like less people willing to pay that much. There's more demand in the US, but like, I mean, yeah, I love Ryanair. I love Wizz Air. I have nothing. I've never had a bad trip with them.
Yeah, they call Wizz Air like the sky taxi because it's so cheap, and I've never had a bad trip. I mean, yeah, you have no leg room if you're tall, but I mean, it's like $30, man, to go to different countries. So.
Exactly.
But you have low expectations, and then it's not that bad actually.
Yeah.
But if you imagine you pay $2,000 for a flight, and then the flight is not as nice as you imagined it to be, then you're very disappointed.
That's true.
Can you sleep like anywhere?
No. But at some point I got
I can't sleep on planes, so I'm curious, like, you know, are you like, can you sleep on planes?
Yes, at some point you have no choice anymore. If you wake up at 5 a.m. in Frankfurt, you drive to the airport, and then you fly to the US. You arrive around, let's say, maybe in Houston at 2 p.m. local time, which is 8 or 9 p.m. German time. Then you have 4 hours layover. So just round about midnight or 1 a.m. of your real time zone, you would board a flight to Guadalajara, and then you fly for 4 hours or 3 hours, and you would arrive at like, I don't know, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. You have no chance of staying awake. So nature will get you sleep.
Reed, but the reason you can't sleep on flights is because you're sitting middle seat in Frontier Airlines. If you had like a lie flat bit like business class couch or not couch, like a bed, I think you'd be able to fall asleep.
I mean, are you flying business class like every time?
No.
Yeah.
The default option is economy because it's still a price-driven industry, and you could, at the end, you have so many miles. And for example, I was 1K for many years with United. You get 8 upgrade vouchers, 320 plus points, so you can upgrade yourself to business. In many cases.
Like for me, like sleeping on flights, as long as I have leg room, and I have like the window seat, I'm fine. So I usually just move the exit window seat.
Are you a window seat or an aisle guy, Jonathan?
I'm an aisle guy because I like to walk around, and I don't like to be. I have very long legs, so I don't like to be squeezed in. And I don't want, I don't want to annoy my neighbors. Like every 30 minutes, I tell them, "Hey, can you let me out, please?" There's some different types of passengers. Sometimes I see people they climb over people because they sleep, and they do yoga stunts and just not wake them up.
For sure. Yeah. How tall are you, Jonathan?
185.
Okay, that's like what?
So I'm not that tall, actually.
No, it's like 6 foot. Sorry, that's like 6 foot.
Probably 6.1 or 2. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody asked this, but what's the craziest thing you've seen on an airplane?
Craziest thing.
Spirit
I saw
Airlines.
the people throwing up. But I heard very, very weird stories where people vomited so much they had to do emergency landing just because of the smell. And yeah.
Do you run into the same flight attendants frequently?
Sometimes. And even some of those do OBC shipments on the side. Because they're used to flying.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and they have a lot of time off, and then I'm not sure.
So
if
do you
that's
like?
healthy
Do you
if
like
they have like regulations
when
to not
you're
fly
like
too much.
flying? When you're flying, do you like, or when you're in places, do you ever meet and connect with or network with like other OBCs?
Yes. For example, especially Mexico City, I've created one. I made one cafe, the hotspot for OBCs. And it's nice because now I still see a lot of people going there, and it's like a meetup place. I really love that because you make friends who have the same passion, and you would meet up with them every once in a while. It was just not so good for my lifestyle because for them they meet you every 2 or 3 weeks or every 2 months maybe at some point, and then for them it's a reunion. But you have reunions every single day because you go to Detroit, you meet friends from Detroit, you go to Dallas, you go to Mexico City, you go to Guadalajara, to Tokyo, and so on. So you have reunions every day, and that's not so healthy sometimes.
Yeah. So that's an interesting lifestyle, that's for sure.
Again, not sure if anybody asked this, but how long are you typically like? Do you ever have layovers where you're out like maybe a day or two? You can actually relax in some of these places. Or are you like 99% always hopping on and off in the airport?
Of course, sometimes you have times when those shipments are necessary because it's not easy to plan, right? So I had a lot of times when I was not stuck, but I was just waiting for shipments in some locations in Asia, in the US, in Mexico.
What's like the most random destination you ever went to?
Maybe Tunisia. So Tunisia is not such a nice place, especially after like there was special.
We have a question from Constantine. Have you ever been responsible for a line down? Has anything gone wrong where you shut down a production line?
At one of my first shipments, I was part of the shipment. I was delivering stuff to South Africa, and there was the case that the agency that booked me told the client commercial import customs is not possible on the weekend in Johannesburg, and they still told them to go. And the production lines broke already down, but they tried to do this. So in the end, I was in a WhatsApp group with the head of logistics of a very, very famous automotive company. And I just realized like everybody is crazy. Probably people got fired in that case. But I was just, I didn't do anything wrong. It was just the automotive company planned wrong and didn't listen to the OBC company. So that was very intense. And also at my company now, we have had locations or situations where the production line broke already down and you're just trying to minimize the impact. And it's about every minute. And then money doesn't matter because they would lose 6 or 7 digits an hour just in like a compensation, penalties, and lost sales. and that's yeah.
So
Very important.
how much does your pricing like fluctuate or be like, is it market based? Like in those situations, like, are you able to bill more, or like does the rate stay pretty fluid or pretty flat?
In an ideal world, I would propose a profit or a saved cost share. So it would be great if we could do like 50-50.
Yeah.
But of course, we have competition. So yeah, it's market based. But it depends. We have clients. They even book us when we're more expensive because they just know that we can handle. We're very capable, and with us, things don't go wrong. And some others, they have a different policy. They would change to another company for like $50, which makes no sense because it might be less than 1% difference, but they might have a policy. We always have to go with the cheapest, and then the cheapest might be the most expensive one. So it's the same in the trucking industry. It's the same,
for sure.
Same thing.
And so are you, from like a tracking standpoint, like does the OBC always get connect? Like if I'm a freight forwarder and I want updates, like am I messaging you, or am I messaging like the actual OBC, like the actual person? Like how does that work?
We're always the point of contact because we want to make sure that they get the updates they need. And maybe the OBC is falling asleep, or maybe they send a wrong update. So we want to be in charge because we don't want that somebody freaks out. So yes, and we have live tracking. Oftentimes we use AirTags, for example, so we know exactly if the luggage is loaded or not. Especially when you're transiting at some airports, you want to know that it's really loaded. And many airlines, they don't care. You ask them, hey, is my baggage loaded? And they always load all baggages, and it's obviously not true. I'm not sure if you had delayed baggage when you were traveling, but it's very annoying. Just for like holidays, it's annoying already. But think about a production line relies on your suitcase to arrive on time, and that is very important.
What are you bringing with you? Like, are you bringing like clothes and stuff, or do you like what do you bring personally?
I used to walk everywhere with my special backpack with like 10 underwear, 10 socks, 5 t-shirts, and so on to survive, because I had a backpack and I had a carry-on luggage to have more space. And it happened all the time that I was planning, hey, I'm just going for 2 days, and then I got a new shipment from Paris, and I got a new shipment then, and then I was just bouncing around for like 2 or 3 weeks. So you need backup clothes, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. We got to wrap up here real quick. Michael, just FYI, because he's looking at the comments. When Michael, well, there's two Michaels. When Michael Lombard said this job sounds sick, he did say that means in like the American lingo that sounds like amazing, and I think he took it as it's like a bad job. But no, like Michael Lombard meant it's an amazing job. I just probably got lost there. Translation. But Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us on Freight Gong Friday. This was an amazing episode. We learned so much from you. I am definitely interested in being one of your agents. If you ever need help out of Warsaw, I got 2 passports, so I could definitely fly fast. I live 10 minutes from the airport in Warsaw too, so I'm super fast here. Hit me up. Let me know.
Paul, I feel like Paul could make like a documentary about this and do it. Yeah, that could be cool.
And it could be brought to you by OBC ONE. So we could do a lot of cool content. Jonathan, keep me in mind. Thank you so much. Alex, thanks for joining us as well.
Take it easy, boys.
See you, Jonathan. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
All righty. End stream.